Good morning, everyone. Hope you all are having a good week. It's Wednesday, and today we're going to be doing our episode 2 of this series I have going. That isn't really sneaker related, but more related to the sneakerhead in question, I guess. Before we get started, I am going to ask that you subscribe if you haven't already done so. Like the video, thumbs up, thumbs down, comment. I appreciate all of it. I consider it all support no matter what. Although I don't seem to get many thumbs downs, which I really do appreciate. So yeah, please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Go back and check out my sneaker videos. We've got some pretty cool stuff there. But this is episode 2 of something a little bit different. We are discussing me and how I became to be what I am today. So yeah, here we go. Last episode, we left off on me finding out at the age of 15 and a half that I was going to be a dad. So I'm going to back it up just a little bit real quick and give you guys a little insight on something I didn't really touch on last episode. During the time that between when my stepfather killed himself and the time that I heard I was going to be a father, I was meeting new people and getting myself into new situations. I met my homeboy Walter, who I'm still close with today. He's been right there through this whole thing with my daughter, and he was a big help with her back in the day. What's up, Walt? My mom at that time didn't care for the friendship Walter and I had. I was getting into trouble, but it's something that I wouldn't take back or change in any way, because it helped me grow up or learn about life a little bit. I wasn't raised in the worst area, but it also wasn't the best area. And I was bullied and picked on and up to a certain point. And then when I got to the certain point of not, well, we know what I became. Anyways, so I was getting into a lot of trouble with the police. Got myself a little tiny record. Nothing super crazy. A couple little misdemeanors, no big deal. Some probation. Never got locked up. Got lucky. Put me on a lot of probation. I was on a lot of probation throughout the course of being 14 to 18. And then my daughter was born. When my daughter was born, I did calm down. I did back off of the illegal activities I was getting myself into, because I couldn't afford that at that point. I had my daughter. And mind you, I was an avid basketball player from the age of 12 up until she was born. I was playing every day, non-stop, every free minute of the day. Basketball was my thing. I still play today, but I'm old, so I can't do what I used to. But I still play, and I'm decent. I considered myself decent. Daughter was born, everything came to a grinding halt. Everything went from hanging out with the friends, playing basketball, getting into trouble, to finding a full-time job. Got my GED when I got out of school. And I had it pretty quick. It took me less than a year to get my GED. And then I was working full-time. So I'm 16 and a half, 17 years old with a full-time job. Might as well have been an adult, raising my young daughter with her mother at the time. Now, her mother I'm not going to get too much into, but let's just say she was around and then she wasn't. And when she wasn't around, it was just me and my daughter Karina, and my mom, and my grandma. That was my support system. That was my family. That was really all I had. I met the mother of my other two children, Tyler and Maya. Hello, you two, if you see this video. I love you both. And things were pretty good when her and I got together for quite a while. A few years. We had a really good few years. We had our ups and downs. And when Maya came along and then Tyler soon thereafter, it was a struggle. We weren't financially prepared for that, and we weren't the smartest decision makers back then. But we did the best we could with what we had to work with at the young ages we were. She was younger than me. So, yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I will say that the first 5 years, maybe a little bit more, were really good when it came to Audra, myself, and our kids. She took over taking care of Karina, which I still thank her for to this day. I have tried desperately to be friends with her and on a friendly level, but things just don't allow for that, apparently, which I wish was different. She was there for a lot of Karina's life. She helped me raise her. She did a lot of the dirty work as far as being a mom went when it came to the kids, and I appreciate that. But after a while, after a number of years, her and I were together 15 and a half, 16 years. And the last few years was pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. We didn't get along, a lot of fighting, arguing. Not fighting like physically stuff, but a lot of verbal arguing. The kids didn't need to hear, but they did. And I regret that. I'm sorry, you guys. I really wish that wouldn't have went down like that. It was rough. During our relationship, we broke up a number of times and got back together, and broke up and got back together, like young couples do quite often. And in one of our breaks, I guess you could call it, I made the giant mistake of, I was in a really bad mental place, but there's no excuse. To this day, there's no excuse. I blame myself thoroughly. But I got myself into a situation. Now this is a rough thing to talk about, and you guys might hammer on me, and I might get a lot of hate, but I'm being straight up. I was working at the bowling alley local in my town, and I was pretty much management there for the most part. I did everything. I helped that place run on a daily basis along with the rest of our team. But in the course of the 5, 6, 7 years that I worked there, whatever it was, I would meet various people, right? customers, bowlers, just everybody. It was a vast majority of the people that came in there were females. Right, there was a lot of dudes, but it was a lot of females that came in there to hang out, party, bowl, whatever. Well, during one of our not so greatest moments of Audra and I, we broke up. We were together, we broke up, we were having all kinds of problems, and I let a customer, we will call her, of the bowling alley get into my head a little bit. And stuff happened, and I ended up in a very short relationship with a female from the bowling alley that turned out to be younger than I thought she was. I was 20-ish, 21 at the time, and I really did think she was closer to 18 than she was, but she turned out to be turned out to be 15. And when I found out how young she really was, her family and I sat down together and had a huge conversation. Her dad and I talked. It was actually separate conversations because her mom and dad weren't together. So it was, you know, a meeting, a dinner at a restaurant, face to face with mom, and then a very similar thing with dad. And there were ground rules laid out as to what our relationship was going to entail. And the only reason her parents were even considering allowing her and I to continue to be together once she told them how old I was and I found out how young she was, the only reason they considered it was because apparently once her and I got together, she started doing much better in school. Her grades started coming up. She was much happier at home. Where before her and I got together, she apparently was in a very depressed state. School grades were declining. She wasn't doing well. And that all took a drastic turn for the better when we got together. So they took it as a positive that her and I were together. And I did as well. I mean, I figured if I could help her and the parents were okay with it, and we had it set up all right, and everything was laid out the way we were trying to lay it out, there wouldn't be any real issues. I didn't take into consideration the actual law and, you know, all of that, and I guess her family didn't either. And we started a relationship with all this stuff set in place. Her dad and her made the determination to go to her doctor and put her on birth control just as a precaution, put her on birth control and all of that, which at the age of 15, 16 years old isn't a big deal, right? It's not a huge issue. Especially nowadays, man, it's like really not an issue these days. Anyway, she goes to her doctor's appointment on a Thursday afternoon. No, whatever. Yeah, Thursday? No, it had to be like a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. Must have been Wednesday. She goes to her doctor's appointment. And I knew she was going, but I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. So, sorry, I'm in this traffic here and this bridge, pardon my language, on this bridge, and these people are just crazy. Okay. So she goes to a doctor's appointment, And her and her doctor, being her doctor and her dad are in this appointment, and I'm not even there. I'm at work. I'm whatever. Doctor and her start talking back and forth, and I guess the question came up. The doctor was asking about why she was wanting birth control, being nosy or whatever the case was. And she said she had a new boyfriend. Oh, I have a new boyfriend. Oh, okay, cool. You have a new boyfriend? Well, at the time, like I said, we weren't concerned about anything, seriously. So she wasn't thinking along the lines of trying to hide anything. So she told her doctor how old I was. And I guess from that point forward, it was basically her doctor looked at her and said, well, because of my particular position, because you told me how old he was and how old you are, I have no choice but to notify the police. And so she left the appointment, goes home. I don't know if she was concerned about it or not, but I don't remember her telling me what had happened. But the next day, I get a phone call at my house. This is back before cell phones were a thing. This is back in the year, what was it, 1999? 99, 2000, 99. Year 2000. I get a phone call while I'm in my house. I'm sitting there minding my business. I get a phone call. It's the Robo City Police Department. It's a detective from the Robo City Police Department. Says something along the lines of, hey, Mr. Castro, we were wondering if you could come down and talk to us, have an interview about such and such person. And I'm like, what? Huh? Okay, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll come down there. I'll come talk to you. Okay, yeah, come on down. Just come up to the front counter and let them know you're here, and we'll go sit in an interview room and we'll have a conversation. Ask you some questions, and then you can go, be on your way. Okay, I'll be there in a little bit. So I drove down to the Robo City Police Department by myself, and I go up to the counter, and I tell them I'm there and who I'm there to see, and I sat down and waited a few minutes, and out he came, and we go walking back to a little interview room, a table and two chairs on either side of the table, and he starts asking me questions about this girl and my relationship with her, and places we've gone and things we've done and this and that, whatever. And I look back on it now, and stupidly, I was very honest and open. Should have kept my mouth shut, not said a word, and called for a lawyer, is what I should have done from the very get-go, which I did not do because I was very young and ignorant and stupid. So I proceed to tell this guy my relationship with her, things we had done, places we'd gone. He asked specific details about specific things, and I was very stupidly honest. So at the end of this interview, I'm there probably a good hour and a half or so. He stands up. Sorry about the light back here. It's the sun, and I can't really do much about it right now until we move. Here, hold on. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything. Stupidly, I was very honest. So he stands up. I remember this vividly. he stands up and says, okay, Mr. Castro, I'm going to go have a conversation with a few of my coworkers, and you're free to go. You could leave here any moment. Door's not locked. You can go ahead and take off if you really want to, or wait here until I said, I'll wait around, whatever, it's fine. I wasn't tripping. Stupid. I wasn't tripping. Well, this is what happens when you're very honest with the police, and you are very open about things. You know, they F you as hard as they can. And I'm about to tell you what happened. So, after he says I'm free to go, I could do this, that, whatever, he walks out of the room. 5 minutes, maybe longer, maybe 10 minutes goes by. Door opens up, and it's the guy I've been talking to for the last hour and a half, who just told me I was free to go, and two other guys in plain clothes with badges. They all walk in, all three of them walk in and proceed to surround me. And the guy who just told me I was free to go proceeds to tell me, well, I just talked to these two here, so-and-so and so-and-so from so-and-so division, and they informed me that I have no choice but to place you under arrest. So stand up, put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest. My whole inside just dropped. I didn't think for a second that I'm going to be arrested and placed in handcuffs. Like I said, I was stupid, ignorant. Should have known, right? Nobody told me any better. Stupid. So they arrest me, sit me back down in a chair in a different room, and let me make my one phone call, which was to my mom, to come get my car that was in the parking lot, because I drove myself there thinking I was leaving. Stupid. Okay, so I'm arrested. They asked me a few more questions. I pretty much stopped talking at that point. Too late. I was extremely upset, crying, freaking out. Never been locked up in my life. And here I am. They tell me that I have now been charged with 25 felony counts of various things that are horrible, monstrous things. Like, I wanted to just kill myself right at that second. But it didn't feel, it was weird because I didn't feel like a monster, but on paper, I was a complete monster. So, I'm looking at 25 felony counts. They take me down to San Mateo County McGuire Correctional Facility in Redwood City, California. And this is where I knew. This is where I thoroughly knew, right? The officer who put me in his car to transport me to the jail, which was all of 3 or 4 minute drive from the Redwood City Police Department to the McGuire jail. He's asking me questions. He's trying to chit chat and lighten things up and whatever. And then he literally says to me, you know, I know what's going on with your situation here. He's all, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're being fucked. Pardon my language. And all I could say, handcuffed in the back of this car with dried tears all over my face, was, yeah, I know. We pull into the little driveway for the doors to open to the McGuire jail, which any of you who've been locked up in Redwood City know that jail and know how bad it is there. Well, back in 1999, 2000, it wasn't as crowded, but it still sucked. We pull in, drive into this little garage thing where they have the one door that you walk into to go into the jail. I'm going to describe the county jail for you, and then I'll probably be where we end this video for today, because I'm trying to keep these at about 30 minutes. per video, and we're already at 25 minutes. So I'm going to describe my intake into the jail, and then we'll be continuing this to the next episode. No pun intended. Nah. All right. So we go into this jail. We go into this garage. A couple deputies are standing at the back of the police car as the officer takes me out. The officer takes off his handcuffs, and the deputies put on their own. And they all three walk me into what they call intake, as far as I remember. We're going back 24 years at this point, 23 years, but hey, I kind of remember. They take me in. The first thing they did, and this is by far the most degrading part of the whole thing, they take you into this little room. And when I say a little room, I'm talking the size of a medium-sized walk-in closet, where it's just big enough for you and this one person. Like I can almost reach my arms out side to side and touch both walls type of thing. And they make you strip naked. Turn around, bend over, grab your balls, and cough. Just like you see in the crazy, crazy movies. I went through that situation in this McGuire Correctional Facility. Then after you've proved you have nothing up your butt or tucked away anywhere that you shouldn't, you put your clothes, and this guy stands there and watches. And he had almost a weird grin on his face the entire time this was going on. Very awkward. So they take you you put your clothes back on, and they bring you out, and they put you into another room after they've removed your shoelaces, if you have them, or just shoes in general, belt, anything with strings, so you don't choke yourself or anybody else. And once you are completely emasculated, they stick you in a holding cell with a bunch of other people that have gone through the same thing you just went through. I sat there for a good 6 or 7 hours, and I was arrested at about 2:30 in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. They then take you from there, once they've decided where they're going to place you in the jail, give you a bin full of clothing or stuff, take you to the laundry to get your clothing, and then take you to another room for you to change out your street clothes for your inmate clothes. Bag up everything, and they put it away in a box. I then went from there to an area they called, what was it? 3 East? I was in maximum security. 3 West, I believe it was. I take that back. 3 West, inside the McGuire jail. The gentleman in the cell below me had just killed both of his parents with his bare hands and was in what they call the suicide suit. This place was an absolute dungeon. It was completely inhumane and unreal. I could not believe it. And I spent the next 5 days there. I was arrested on a Thursday. They didn't do court on Friday. And I sat there until Monday, until my bail could be reduced enough for me to be released. I went through 5 days of 23 and a half hour lockdown in this cell with me and another guy who was locked up for something similar, or as similar as they had. And I got 30 minutes a day, 15 minutes twice a day to be out of my cell to use the phone and to shower. That was 5 days. Monday, I went to court to see the judge about these charges and what my bail was going to be. It was a mess. Okay, everybody. We're going to stop it there. I'm going to let you guys comment below whatever you need to comment, how stupid I was, what a horrible person I might be or was. I've heard it all before. I did make a stupid mistake, but that was literally the only time I've ever been in trouble in my entire 45 years on this planet. So, again, comment what you will. All feedback is good as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to allow all comments to be posted here. I appreciate you riding on with me through this adventure, I guess we can call it. And I hope none of you hate me too much. I will be back next week with episode 3, and we will pick up from my introduction to the San Mateo County Jail. And we'll pick up from there, and you guys can continue this journey / ride, whatever you want to call it, with me. I appreciate you. Thank you. And like I have said in other videos, please be kind to each other. Have patience as much as you can. If you have kids, hug them. Tell them you love them every single day, every hour if you can, every minute if you can. I never did that enough with mine, and I regret that a lot. And now one of them is not here for me to try to repair that. So, don't make my mistakes. If anything, use these videos I'm posting to learn from my mistakes. Okay, everybody. One last thing. Subscribe. When we get to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, I will be doing a giveaway of sorts. It will be sneaker related, but I can also include non-sneaker related giveaway things as well. Alright, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Peace.